Hello everybody and welcome to the movie calendar. My name is Lee.
And I'm Terence.
And we are here today to talk about the movie Parasite and add the film to the movie calendar. So Terence, what is the movie calendar?
Well, you kind of just touched on it. The movie calendar is an episode or a series of episodes that we are going to run where we pretty much talk about movies we love, where the goal of this is to place this movie on our calendar, the movie calendar. This means that if there's a time in the year that you're flicking through your streaming network, whatever you use to watch your films, you just don't know what to watch, instead of time wasting, flick to the movie calendar and it's right there. That's the goal.
Exactly.
That's the goal.
I think the idea was to have a full calendar with amazing pieces of cinema in it. Films that I love, films that Terence loves, and so when you're looking for a movie to watch on a certain day, you don't have to worry about it. We've got you covered. You can just pick the day, and it'll be there. I really wanted this first episode to be about the movie Parasite. I think it has earned the right to be our number one film on this video podcast, and the entire inception of me wanting to do this with Terence was so that I could talk about Parasite. So here we are.
Here we are. I guess the other thing to say is the movie calendar is not just the calendar of mine and Lee's. This is where we want your input. We're going to ask for you to tell us what day you think the film should fall on. We've got ideas of when we think this should fall on. The next films, we want your input as well. So, you can reach out on Twitter. We've got at the movie cal. We have an email, themoviecal@gmail.com. The website, moviecalendar.com. And what else do we have? Is that all we've got?
That's it. That's the Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity of reaching out to us. So at the end of this episode, we'll tell you what we're going to be talking about next week. And you can reach out to us about that film and let us know when you want that film on the movie calendar. And we might just pick your date.
Yes. Has to be a good story. Oh, and there's one other thing we do along the way. When you walk out of a cinema, you've seen it with someone, one of the biggest things that you do, the first thing you do is you start talking about your favorite bits. So there's a little segment we're going to do later on, and we call it What About When. So this is where we're going to share some of our favorite bits. We ask for collaboration on that as well. Share your favorite moments and we'll read them out. If you send audio grabs through, we'll play them on the episode so that you can have your say as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. When we get there.
Yes.
For now, we're going to take a deep dive into Bong Joon Ho's multiple Academy Award-winning film and Palme d'Or winner, 2019 Cannes Film Festival, Parasite.
Wow.
Now, how many times have you seen it, Terence?
I've seen it an entire 2 times. I've seen this twice.
That's good.
Yep.
That's not bad. I've lost count. I rewatched it yesterday, just to refresh it and to take some notes. But super excited to get into this film. So, what were your favorite moments in this film?
Wow, look, you can't ask a question like that. That's not what this film is about. This isn't a film about favorite things that happened. I like how you've thrown to me. I know you've got so much you want to say about this, and I've got to tell everyone that's watching this, we have tried so hard not to talk about this with each other and save it for the episode. So, look, I've got to... It's not about favorite things, but if I had to pick one thing, I've got to say that the way that this was written has really made me so invested with the characters that I wasn't sure if I liked the film or not. And I had to realize that it was this masterful writing and directing that actually made me really feel animosity towards our family that we're following. And in reflecting on that, when I thought, I really don't like this film, I realized why I didn't like it. I didn't like the characters. He'd written them so well, he'd shot it so well that I was so invested that I was carried away with it emotionally. I was on for the ride. I was on board. So for that, I have to applaud it, and I love it just for that, as well as everything else. The story was beautiful, very different.
Yeah.
But look, you tell me your thing too, because that's only one. There's so much that this film has that we've got to get into and break down. So what about you?
Yeah. So we should mention as well. So Terence has obviously seen the film. I have obviously seen the film. So we are going to be talking about it as if you have seen the film. So if you haven't, you definitely want to watch this movie before continuing this podcast, whether you're listening to it or watching it, and then come back to hear us have a good old chat about it.
Yeah.
Or not. Stick around. It might not be the film that you want to see, and just listen to us if you're interested in that as well. But yeah,
no
huge spoilers.
You have to go watch it. Yeah, huge spoilers. This is a film that you can't watch it. You have to watch it.
Yeah, you want to know as little as you possibly can before you watch this film.
Exactly. All right, go. I'm eager to hear what you think. I know what you think, but I'm eager to hear the answer.
So yeah, to me, spoilers for anyone who knows me. I think that this is a perfect film. And I don't say that lightly. I think that every single aspect of filmmaking that is on display during the entire runtime of this movie is flawless. The direction, the acting, the writing, the cinematography, the production design, everything works as this cohesive mass of just perfection. And I am truly in awe of it every single time I watch it. I pick up something new every single time I see it, and I am just enthralled from start to end whenever I put it on. It's not something that I can just put on in the background. I have to be sitting down and absorbing it. I don't even need the subtitles anymore. I know what's happening at any given time. I've seen it so much, but I still have to just sit there and let it wash over me. It's absolutely perfect. So picking a favorite aspect of the film is impossible. It would be like trying to pick a favorite child, I'd imagine. But if like forced to, I would say it's direction.
It's easy to pick a favorite child.
It is easy. I wouldn't know. So Terence is a father. Hope his kids didn't hear that.
Yeah, you just don't tell them which one's which.
Oh, of course, yeah. I think I've heard my older brother say something similar as well. Oh God, I hope they don't. I hope my nephews and nieces never watch this. But yeah, it's the direction. So for me, this is the Bong Joon Ho show, and I'm kind of scared for him as well because I don't know where he's going to go from here after making such a perfect movie. Like, I do not envy what he's got next on his plate because the entire world's eyes are upon him after creating this absolute masterpiece and instant classic.
But doesn't that happen to every Academy Award winner, especially the best?
I don't think so.
Everyone's eyes are on
not in the way that
one.
this had. I think this one had such a large cultural impact. And you know what, I say I don't envy him. I mean, I do, because he's just an absolute genius. And look, if he stopped making movies right now, his filmography is just incredible. But I can't wait to see what he does next. But enough about that. Let's talk about Parasite. I think one of my favorite things about this movie, and this is one thing that I really wasn't expecting, is that the film is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, it is a straight up comedy for at least the first half.
Funny
and
bits. Yeah.
No, it is literally genred, and I hate using the word genre for this film because it can't be contained within one. But if you look on IMDb, on the iTunes Store, and Rotten Tomatoes, it is categorized first and foremost as a comedy, which I would have to agree with.
I've got it here. I'm looking. Yeah, comedy, drama, thriller.
Comedy, drama, thriller. It's also a heist film as well. Like, there's so many elements in this movie that shouldn't work together the way that they do, but because the people behind the film are just like on an absolute another level from everyone else, it works, and it more than does that. It excels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it has to be the humor.
It's crazy how they took this idea and made it into something that people just love. It's such a nasty idea.
Yeah,
but look at
like
you. You're gushing.
Oh, how can you not? Like, the film itself is an absolute magic trick, where it tells a story that doesn't really have any heroes and villains like you traditionally get in a piece of cinema. Like, it's depending on what you bring into the film, it almost acts like a litmus test. Like, depending on what you bring into the film depends on how you are when you leave. Like, because you get to see all of the acts within the film through whatever eyes you take in with you. So whether you're with we follow the poor family, but then you equally get a perspective from the rich family as well. Like it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. You could see how I guess some people would think that this movie sets out to victimize the rich, but then you could see how people think that all people in this social construct of ill-fated what's it called, demographic, I don't know, living in sub
like the lower socioeconomic.
That they're demonized as well. But in actual
like
fact,
they all do horrible
no
things.
one was a hero. Yeah.
No, like the family that we are introduced to at the beginning of the film, who have this incredible dynamic. Like I cannot praise these performers enough.
Yeah.
Oh, this entire ensemble cast is just incredible. The fact that none of them were nominated for an Academy Award is just an oversight that can't be understated.
Yeah.
Especially the woman who plays the poor family's daughter.
Yes.
She is just...
Yes, I'm glad you brought
She
this
is
up.
just the MVP of the film for me. Everything that she does is just amazing, but they are all so wonderful. But yeah, like that family unit that we follow, like it's played for laughs during the first half of them integrating themselves into the rich family's home.
Yep.
But they're doing horrible things to get in there.
Yes.
But then when they're in there, they're doing their job really well. Like they're not like, once they get in, they're not, oh, they're bludging, we're here now. Like it's like they're actively doing a really good job. So it's a really, really interesting piece of cinema. Like I've never seen anything written like this before.
You're right. They really try to do their best. It's like they've got a new job and they really want to impress their employer. They're not faking it anymore. They're in there. I think this is what disturbed me a little bit. I thought, oh great, they've found it, they've got jobs, they got them in a sideways manner. Okay, they conned their way in, but you know what? They're opportunists. They're not well off. They're desperate. They're looking for their next feed. The mother even, when she's presented with the rock from Min, she mutters under her breath, rudely, easily the most hated character for me. Food would have been better. It would have been better if it was food. I'm like, oh, jeez, shut up, woman. But it's just
rude.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. But she does nothing but confirm my hatred for her character throughout the film.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
How interesting.
As a person, as a human being.
Yeah.
Okay, we already know that they're con artists. We already know that they're narcissists. They're a family of narcissists that don't care about the hurt that they cause other people. But she's above and beyond. She doesn't care about physical harm that she does to anyone either, while the father shows remorse. So, there's...
Interesting. I thought the opposite. So...
well, see, this is the hard thing, because they're all in on it to make a buck, and they all know, they're all complicit. They all know the damage that they're doing to each individual that they are kicking out of their job. But...
Yeah.
I thought it was funny how the mother and father both take on roles of being more or less servants to the family, while the two kids take on the role of the educators and the professionals, the industry higher-ups who can charge top dollar. I thought that was a nice play that they did there.
Yeah, it's really interesting with talking about what you took from those characters and what I took from the characters, and it just goes to show how good the writing actually is and how well lived in these characters feel. It's a term that I like to use a lot, and I think in this film it is absolutely a must to mention, because they all feel so real. At no point was the suspension of disbelief removed where I was looking at actors performing roles. They were those people. Yeah. Especially, as I mentioned, the poor daughter, Jessica. Yeah. She's got such a rich backstory that we never see, which is so important into her role. Yes, they mentioned that she's good at art, which automatically means that she's good at forging documents. And then when she finally gets the job at the rich person's house, becoming an art therapist for the young boy Da Song, she legitimately gets through to him when no one else has been able to. So there is there is a skill there that she has and a backstory to her where she's good with kids that we never find out. And I just want to know how and why. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think that those are things that, for the first half of the film, while you saw it as a comedy, I saw it as a really frustrating process. I saw this as a, I don't know, it was almost done on purpose, and I believe it was done on purpose to focus on the desperation of this family to get what they wanted at any cost. So little things like time, that was irrelevant. But it really threw me. I think when I watch films, I like to create some sort of timeline. That's the way that I can consciously follow a story. I need to know, this is 2 days later. I'm that person who, when someone's telling a story at a campfire, I'm going to say, how many days afterwards was that? That makes it. I like to think about it like that. So this just threw me. So all of a sudden they're forging things in Photoshop, and then the next day he's off getting this amazing job, and the day after the sister comes in and is all of a sudden a professional in her field and breaks through to this child that no one can talk to and has him bowing to her when he leaves the like, what? This isn't believable. What's going on? But
Yeah.
They do a little bit of foreshadowing where, the three of them,
little bit.
That's foreshadowing through the whole thing. But when the mother and the two kids, Jessica and Kevin, are both strong-arming the pizza shop owner to, fire. This is just what they do. And this was the first sign of me really disliking the family. But also, that was a little bit of a jump in character from what we'd seen. And all of a sudden, they're really horrible people. So this is where you're talking about how this family construct that they have is just beautiful. They mesh so well. They're a beautiful, loving family. Okay, they're full on hard times. Where's the Wi-Fi? We're going to scum Wi-Fi off the neighbor. We are that poor. We can't afford it. But yet, we love each other. We support each other.
Yeah, I don't think that they're characters that are designed to be liked. Like, I think they get by in the film through humor, and that's the one and only thing that makes them endearing is the humor. Yeah, which it's such an interesting thing because they're doing like I mentioned before, just horrific things. Like they literally poison the housekeeper with an allergic reaction, and to make it look like she's got TB.
They frame someone as a sexual predator.
The driver Yoon.
That poor guy.
But then they show empathy for him later. Like, I wonder, he was a young, handsome guy. Like, he would have got work, right? Like,
no, they don't.
Yeah,
the father does.
The father does.
The father does. They don't. And that's my point.
Yeah, the daughter has no empathy whatsoever for anyone above. She does have empathy for
herself,
the family that lives in the basement. Like during the party, her first instinct when she gets to that house is we have to bring food down to them because they're going to be hungry. Both the mother and the daughter have that reaction.
I think that's
we need to take food down to them.
I think that's just more out of regret that if they don't, they're going to cause a stink. And
I don't know. I don't think it is.
They're going to get found out. I think it's all just to save themselves.
No, I think there's more there with that one. Because I think that the men act violently and the women act empathetically, and I don't think that's an accident. In regards to the family downstairs, anyway.
Maybe that's the only sign of empathy that the women in the family show. The only sign, and I think it's out of fear. Yep. I don't think it's out of any remorse.
Maybe. We'll never know.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the idea. That we can keep talking about it. After the film has been seen. Yeah. Oh, all right. Okay, you know what? I feel really sorry for certain characters. Do you know who I would feel sorry for? Who I feel pity for?
The rich daughter?
I actually feel pity for the rich mother. But purely on the side of thinking of her emotional state. Okay, she's in a situation where regardless of wealth, she has to live with and bring up two children where one of them has been psychologically traumatized through something that she has no idea. She has spent her life from that point trying to work him out and trying to solve him and fix him. She's got this desperation that's the only thing that matters, because she feels that she's failed as a mother. This is a horrible thing for any mother to go through. And in the meantime, her daughter feels isolated. She's ignored by the mother because the son gets everything. She starts to feel spite for the brother, thinking he's faking it when he looks up to the sky for whatever reason he does. She needs the attention of her father, who doesn't give it to her because he's all over the son as well. So she craves it from any male figure that comes into the house, Kevin, Min, and she reacts like a total cold person whenever there are any family activities. So to some extent the daughter, but more the mother and the son, this poor kid who's living with this trauma, with this haunted experience, and then it happens again at the end. Like, what happened to this family after they left? The father's gone.
We certainly know what happened to the dad.
I just feel so sorry for them. Like, that's we don't talk about them, but that's what happens in every film, So I really feel for the mother and for the son, for the little for Da-song, misunderstood, except for Jessica somehow, finds some sort of key with him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's amazing how she does that. Like that whole scene where she's interacting with him for the first time at her first lesson, and the mother is freaking out because she's not allowed to be a part of the lesson because Jessica says no, and she's downstairs tapping her foot like, oh my god, what do I do? And she goes downstairs to the housekeeper. Oh, you can go up. You're not family. You can go. Oh, good idea. Yeah. Comes back up the stairs, and they're sitting at the kitchen table, and he's just well mannered sitting on the chair, and she Da-song, go up to your room, and he gets up and bows and goes upstairs. And all we've seen from this kid up until this point is that he's just psychotic. Like, he's just running about. That he might have some kind of, I don't know, ADD. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's uncontrollable up until this point where he has his very first lesson with Jessica, and it's one of the funniest moments in the film, and all that, and the self-portrait / chimpanzee painting that he that Kevin points out.
Yeah. Oh, it's chimpanzee. No, it's self-portrait. He says something really cool to cover it up.
Yeah, he's like, it's so true. Like the I don't know, the artist's perspective in the young is beyond comprehension or something to that nature. Yeah,
such a con artist. They think on their feet. He's really good at that.
Like when Jessica's sitting down with the mum saying like Da-song experienced some kind of trauma in the first grade, and she freaks out and starts crying, and she's like, oh, it's okay, see this area here in the picture, this is called the schizophrenia zone.
Schizophrenia zone. Bloody hell.
And she looks at it and then looks over at the picture on the wall, and it's the same. I've stared at that picture for so long, and I never noticed I'm such a bad mother. And she's like, no, it's okay, this is a box into Da-song's mind.
What is in that bottom corner? Like, it's a dark scribbly area, but
it's just dark scribble scratch. I don't know. I think Jessica, like, she mentioned later that she just Googled art therapy and then ad-libbed everything. So she probably saw something to that effect written by, I don't know, someone and ran with it. Yeah. Well, if you look at all, so I noticed on the last time I watched it, and in the spirit of me picking up something new every single time I see it, there is pictures of Da-song's all over the house. Especially in his room, they are littered all over the walls, and they all have that little dark patch in the corner. So maybe she's onto something. Who knows?
Well, every time he was drawing the face that he saw, which we know is I call him the basement husband.
Yes, that sounds good.
All he does is he draws this vision that he had. This how well shot was that? Holy moly! Okay, so
we'll talk about that in
yes, I thought we would, but of course that freaks him out. So that's what he draws. So the whole thing is dark. I was surprised that it was dark, but look, I don't know. But that was one of the things that I didn't like about it. How does she know so much? How does she know how to control a child that might have some sort of ADHD? Who you think?
I think that's what makes the movie so great.
Some sort of spectrum. Maybe. I do like how they prepped us for Kevin's character in terms of preparing us for the fact that he might actually be able to be an English teacher. He's done a lot of exams in English, and he knows a lot more than university students. So, okay, he could fudge his way through this. That was good. I think they did that really, really well, because that added believability to the situation. And I think I would have liked that for Jessica. But Jessica's such a pro. Like, she played 3 different characters in this film, and to us, the viewer, she played them flawlessly and really believably in her own right. Like, I think she did a great job. To your point earlier, yes, she was definitely the one to watch with this. The one to watch, like I'm a scout. She was definitely the one that had it over everyone else in terms of her performance. But I think I would have liked that a little bit more. It wasn't too far of a stretch to realise that the mother could become a housekeeper. It wasn't a stretch for the father to be a driver. He was a driver in the past, but Jessica was a mystery.
I don't know. I think I like that mystery. I have to disagree. I think that with like learning about her character to justify those things for the sake of those moments, I think would diminish them. I think the fact that they happen in the way they happen is backstory enough. Like that moment that we were just talking about where she says, does Song go upstairs, and he gets up and bows. I think that tells you more about Jessica than you would ever want to know. Yeah. Like, it's all right there, so beautifully done in that tiny moment. You're like, oh, okay, cool. She knows what she's doing. And having anything before that, I think would just be filler, would just be fluff.
Possibly it'd be a bit of spoon feeding that we don't really need. Yeah, look, that's fine. That was just one of my little annoyances, and it is little.
Sorry, I did it again. I tend to get a little bit defensive about this about this movie. I try my best not to be.
You're allowed to be,
because
be defensive.
I don't know. I have this weird kind of sense of ownership over this movie, which is completely unfounded, and I should probably not have. But I love it. I think it is probably my favorite film, which says a lot. Like, I've seen lots and lots of movies, but I'm pretty sure that this is for now my favorite film that I've ever seen.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing to be able to know. A lot of the time, if someone says, what's your favorite film, it's really hard. How many times I've been at work and people have said, what's your favorite film? And everyone is left umming and ahhing for 5 minutes, and then they go, oh, that's right. I remember this one. Even me.
That's me. That's what I'm normally like.
Yeah, it doesn't come along every now. It only comes along every now and then. That one takes.
I think that's. Yeah. And mine changes constantly. Like, I'll watch a film and be like, oh, it's my favorite movie, until the next day when I watch a different movie and like, oh, this is my favorite film. But part of the reason why I wanted to do Parasite as the first episode was because I hold it in such a high regard and respect it so much.
Yeah.
Can we talk about some themes of the movie?
Some themes? Yeah. All right.
I really like that both families, or all 3 families, if you include the family in the basement, they're all parasites in some way or another. Mm-hmm. The biggest example is obviously the poor family that we follow. Like, they are literally parasiting off the rich family. Like, they can't survive without them, because they're providing them income, which gives them food and shelter. But then the rich family, like, you look at what happens when they lose their driver or when they lose their housekeeper.
Yep.
They literally can't function. Like, the house shuts down. The dad is in the car being like, oh, my clothes are going to start to smell. Like, my wife can't cook. Like, they are parasiting off the poor family because they can't operate without them. And then, of course, the family downstairs is parasites. I think it's so cleverly done.
And it's not until the movie finishes where you realize, oh, it wasn't just that one family that was the parasite. Or, as the credits roll, you think, oh, the family in the basement, the basement husband was a parasite too. Hang on a sec.
Yeah.
Oh no! Whoa. Yeah. This has many layers. There are so many aspects to this. Look, I wrote it down. The definition of parasite. Okay. This is from the Oxford English Dictionary. An organism that lives in or on an organism of another species, its host, and benefits by deriving nutrients at the other's expense. Now, when we're talking about it in terms of people, it'll be a person who habitually relies on or exploits others and gives nothing in return. Fair enough. That's what a parasite is. So, yes, all of them were being parasitic towards the others, some to a lesser degree, but one of them actually was a parasite to the detriment of its host. Killed the host, which is what a lot of parasites in other areas of nature are. A vine going up a tree will eventually kill the tree, starve the tree, and it takes its spot. But I did like seeing that and realizing that theme throughout and afterwards as well. I like that. I liked it.
Awesome.
What about...
Yeah, I think it's an amazing theme.
What was your... I don't know, seeing it the second time, obviously it wasn't my 11th time, but the second time, obviously picking up on more little cues, and again, more foreshadowing. You know, the stink bug right at the beginning. And then the fact that Mr. Park refers to this stink, which is actually the biggest reason that I dislike this rich family as well. Like, they're so up themselves and so separated from the world that this it's such a horrible trait to have. Like, I just despise them for it.
Yeah,
but,
this film has such good, minute details as well. Like you just mentioned then, and I'm going to paraphrase it.
Yeah.
So you said something like, they're kind of like, they're so far removed, they're so far detached.
Yeah.
Do you know how they're so wealthy, how they get their money, what Mr. Park does for work?
He does virtual reality stuff, right?
He works in augmented reality. So if you read the thing, and it's little details like that get me and what make this film so great. Yeah, the fact that he gets his money from augmented reality is just such a beautiful little detail that speaks volumes to his character and to that family unit.
It's just too deep. I was just, just before this episode, I'm thinking, damn it, I've got so many notes. I had so many notes on this film. I just can't. What am I, writing an essay in school? I'm not going to present this. I had so many talking points. I'm going to forget half of them, and I'm not going to get through them. But yeah, it's so layered, and the backstory is all there, and the fact that the basement husband is so thankful for Mr. Park. He respects him, and he knows that without him he wouldn't be able to survive. He knows he's being a parasite, he's being a burden, but Mr. Park has no idea. Yeah. What about when they... No, what about when? Oh, what about when? That's later on.
Don't do what about when's now.
I didn't want it as a what about when. But more of a parallel.
Whilst we're just on...
A parallel.
On some... Yes. Whilst we're just on some, like, the finer details, I've got a bunch here. I'm just going to cherry pick a few, because if I don't mention these things in the first episode, I'll absolutely kick myself. So, it's the tiniest details that I love in this film upon rewatch. Like when Min arrives at the house for the first time to deliver the metaphorical wealth stone. The scholar stone.
Yes.
Of all I will ever call it is metaphorical wealth stone. Like, he kicks off his shoes, and as he walks in, like, his feet stick to the ground. Like, he looks down, just does a quick little look down at his foot because the floor is sticky.
Really?
Because, the family are filthy, and it's just been fumigated. So of course there'd be this residue all over the ground. So there's tiny detail like that. 1/4 of the boxes that they fold are rejects.
Yes.
Bong Joon Ho has gone on record saying that all of the rejected boxes were made by Mr. Kim. So the poor husband, he is the reject who made the bad boxes. This is one of my favorite ones. Hanging up in the wall of the poor family's semi-basement is a silver medal.
Yes.
And the fact that they hold a silver medal in such high regard that they'd get it, put in a case and mounted on their wall is again just one of those little details that they've never been able to achieve really anything in their life. So the fact that one of them got second place in something, which would have been hammer throw for the wife, is held to such high regard that it's literally mounted on the wall, and it's the first thing that he grabs when he goes into the house during the flood. Like he shakes the sewage water out of it and leaves. Yeah, so I think those little details are part of the reason why this film is just is incredible to me.
I love those details with the fumigation when they go to. He says, "Should I shut the windows?" He goes, "No, we need to get rid of the stink bugs." That I love that as a metaphor. I love that throughout. The scholar stone, how that comes back, that callback is really nice. How that plays a part to bringing wealth to the family. I had a lot of things written down as well, but what I thought, I can't remember them all. I've got them here on the screen. I can scroll through, but there are just so many. Look, if we go into the film a little bit, you mentioned the silver medal. Okay, this is signifying the accomplishments, the highest they could ever get. But all we hear about is their failures as well when they are in the driver's cafeteria, and Jessica asks, "Dad, you were a driver once, right?" "Oh yeah, that was before I was a valet." "Oh, you're a valet?" "Yeah." And then the mother pipes in, "Oh, that was just after the chicken shop
it was after
bust."
the Taiwanese cake
and
shop.
then the Taiwan cake shop went bust. So they've had at least 2 businesses plus the valet plus being a driver. That's 4 different things that they didn't do much do well with, which then plays a massive part later on, which I picked up watching it the second time when we see the basement husband and he explains the situation that he's in, how that ties in. I actually had to rewind and rewatch that and realize he was talking about Taiwan cake shop.
Yeah,
and
he'd borrowed money from the wrong people for his Taiwanese cake shop that went bust. Like the parallels between the two families is definitely not an accident.
Taiwan cake shop made his business go bust. So when the Kim family opened Taiwan bake shop, basement husband's business suffered, and it actually drove him into the basement through moneylenders.
Maybe it's a big city.
That's exactly what he said. He said Taiwan cake shop opened, my business went, and I had to go and borrow money from loan sharks. And as he said that, the camera cuts back to Mr. Kim, who is hiding on the stairwell listening, and it goes to his face and he kind of does this little glance up.
How have I not noticed this?
Because Lee, I don't know why, but you know what?
I thought he tried to start a Taiwanese cake shop.
No, that's why I had to rewind it. So
there you go, picking up on new things about the film, and I'm not even watching it.
It's cyclica. Is that the word? I just thought
cyclical.
that was uncanny how they are the reason for the demise of not just one family, but at least 2 families. And who knows how many others along their way. They're getting this other bloke sacked from the pizza place. Who knows what they did to the pizza company as well. This family is a horrible, horrible family. Basement husband's down there hiding from moneylenders, loan sharks. And in the end, Mr. Kim is down there hiding from the coppers. So, it's cyclical. Is that
Yeah. So you nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
I'm glad
I'd like to talk about Mr. Kim
Let's talk about
for a little bit.
Yep.
I think that he has the most interesting arc in the entire film.
Yeah.
Where one of the first lines that he says in the movie to his son when he's going for the interview with his forged degree from his sister, is like, "Oh, so you've got a plan."
You have a plan, yeah.
And planning for him is such a big part of his life. He's obviously he's been a valet. He's tried to open his own business a couple of times.
Yeah.
He has had this drive to succeed, and watching that throughout the course of the film just slowly get whittled away to the point where when the flood happens and they get to their semi-basement home and it's completely flooded with sewage water, and he is just broken. They go to the like a high school gym to sleep on the floor with all the other people whose homes have been flooded, and he's just laying on the floor and he's talking about, what the best plan to have is to his son. It's just no plan. Don't ever plan, and nothing can go wrong. It doesn't matter if you betray your country or kill somebody. Literally nothing matters. Just don't plan. And at that point, he is just an absolute shell of a human being. He's not broken. There, which makes what happens at the end of the movie when he sees, Mr. Park hold his nose when he picks up the thing. Like he snaps. He's not even there. He's not even aware of his actions at this point. And he picks up the knife and he just buries it straight into Mr. Park's chest. And it's so horrific, but it's so well earned from a storytelling perspective. Like his arc to go from where he is at the beginning of the film to be able to full on murder someone is the dot points are so well put in place that it seems like it comes out of nowhere upon first watch. But then once you really dig into it, it's all there as to how he becomes that. I think it's incredible.
He starts so strong, and he's the one who's, no, leave him open. We need to kill the stink bugs. He's folding right through it. He's powering through, doing the sloppiest job of all of them. Now we know. But yeah, he is broken.
But he's trying. He's giving it a go.
He's trying, but he's been giving everything a go. Nothing ever worked, and he realized it's not just his own family he hurts. He's also brought another family to shame to the point where they have to hide out in a bunker, in a basement. So he is totally gone. He's a shell of a man. And one thing that I found a bit difficult to follow was why he kept saying, he said it 2 times to Mr. Park about, but you love her. When he talks about his relationship. And this is where Mr. Park always talks about not crossing the line. And I was wondering why he said that in that final scene that he's in, at the garden party. Why he mentioned, but you still love her. I'm like, what are you doing? You're trying to start a fight? You don't say that to someone.
Yeah. To your boss. Yeah, especially when the reaction was so strange the first time he asked the exact same thing in the car. Yeah. That relationship between the rich parents is really interesting, and I want to know more about it because she seems super young to have a kid who is late high school. And the way that I think has happened, I think that she fell pregnant quite early in their relationship, and so they rushed to get married. Otherwise, they probably would have been disowned by their families. And then have just stayed together because of the children. And I think she's also self-medicating as well, because whenever we see her, when we meet her for the first time, the housekeeper goes outside to get the madam, and she's asleep in the garden. Yeah. And when the husband gets home from work at some point, when he finds the panties in the back of his car, she's just passed out on the couch. And gets up and is all dazed, being like, "Oh, what's happening?" And then the moment again on the couch when the poor family is trapped under the table, in a great metaphor of them being cockroaches hiding from the light. Yes. And they begin to have sex. She's saying like, "Buy me drugs, buy me drugs." Like they have this fantasy of like, put on the dirty underwear. It'll that'll really get me going. And it's so disgusting. Yeah. I mean, I think to me, and I could be completely wrong, but for me, in my head canon, I think she's self-medicating in some way, shape or form.
Yeah, that'll explain why she was passed out on the table at the beginning. And maybe, I don't know, there was another reference to drugs when he found the underwear in the car and he says, "You know what this means?" And he whispers, and it's methamphetamine.
Oh my God, methyl cocaine?
Yeah, methyl cocaine. What if they find the powder? And I'm thinking, why would you go?
He's like, relax. Yeah. For now, it's a logical leap that I'm taking. There's no proof of it yet. We'll just have to let him go. Yeah. And because that family is quite endearing up until the point where they just start haplessly firing all their staff, which they have every right to do. Like, you look at the scene where the mum has to let go of the housekeeper, and they're sitting out in the garden, and the madam's got her head down, and you're like, oh, that must have been a really hard conversation for her to have. Like, this housekeeper who has literally lived in this house longer than they have. Yeah. And at the end of the day, and Bong Joon Ho has said this in an interview, He's like, no, that wasn't a difficult conversation because she's literally hired help. The conversation went like this: don't come in tomorrow. I'm going to do your job from now on. And that's it. Yeah. And she just left. Yeah. Like, it's horrible.
Yeah, I had a thought then. But yes. Yeah, they live in this augmented reality where they can just let people go as they please without explanation. That was what troubled me as well. I'm like, what did they tell Yoon, the driver? What did they tell him to let him go? Just keep it simple. Let him
Nothing.
go.
Just see ya.
Fair enough.
You're no longer our driver anymore. Thank you. Pay him a good severance and see you later.
Yeah, fair enough. And wasn't he saving up for a motel or a hotel or motel? You know, they know what he was doing, but they were happy just to, that was that's their stature.
Another great thing as well about the movie is all of these the small bit characters, I guess you could call them, like driver Yoon and Min, Min especially, absolute standout. He's in the film for all of 2 minutes maybe, but his presence is there throughout the entire film, like setting up Kevin to go and infiltrate the family, essentially kicking off the entire story. Like nothing is wasted. I'd really like to talk about very quickly just about a cinematic technique that's used in the film that I noticed, which is, it blew my mind when I noticed it, and then I did some research to see if I was right and found a really cool video. I don't know who made it. I think it was the Nerd Writer on YouTube.
Yeah,
I have to look at that. But there is a technique that's used in this film. Whenever the rich family and the poor family are in the same frame, they are physically separated by some kind of line. Like it'll be the line in the fridge or a line in the wall, or when they're going up the stairs, there'll be a line in the stairs. They're always separated, which then comes back into the dialogue of the film as well. Whenever Mr. Park says, as long as they don't cross the line, they're fine, but the smell crosses the line. And it's just, again, that level of detail that I love so much. It's so carefully and meticulously made. If you can try and find that video on YouTube, I think it's the Nerd Writer. I'm not 100% sure. I'll tell you what, I'll find out and we'll add it into the description of this video. There'll be a link in at the bottom of the video and the audio as well for that. I'll be able to find it and put it in there.
For that technique. You know, it's interesting that you say that, because one of the things that I did write down was in that scene where Kevin goes for the interview and the housekeeper goes to wake up the madam. It's an extremely obvious split that they do. Kevin is looking out of the window. It's an over-the-shoulder shot, and they use the split in the corner of the window to separate Kevin and the housekeeper from Madam, who's on this side. It's a very obvious split, enough for me to notice it and write it down. The scene where they're the cockroaches under the table as well. They do this twice. I love it. They do a tracking shot from over the top of the Park couple who are just about to get intimate, and move across to the table, and you see the tabletop, but you don't see the family hiding underneath. And then
but you feel them there.
The reveal is a dropping shot where you have the upper class in their silk pajamas, and then you go below road level, you go subterranean, where you see in the darkness the cockroaches on their phones, texting, living their entire life in this cramped space. I thought that was that was nice. Height
is such an important part of the film as well. Like from the opening shot where they can't get the Wi-Fi, and so the dad says, "Hold it high." So to get something good, hold it high. The fact that they have to walk up the giant hill to get to the Park family house, and then the house itself having a sub basement as well as multiple levels, and the more integrated the family gets, the poor family gets into the rich family, the higher up in the house they're able to be. So when Kevin has his very first lesson with the daughter, teaching her English, he's up on that top level, and it becomes super intimate where he grabs her wrist and feels her pulse, and it's a real shocking moment. Like, that's crossing the line. If the dad had been in that room, there probably would have been a conversation to be had. But anytime one of the poor family members goes up to the top level of the house, it's in a super intimate setting. Like Mr. Kim goes up there to tell the madam about how the housekeeper has TB, and they're really close to each other in this confined space. It's It's detail. It's detail. It's detail. I love it.
One of the funniest moments happens in that moment when they're in that really confined space. I don't know what that is. It looked like a sauna or something. I don't know.
I think it was a sauna. Yeah, but, I don't
know. Or maybe a linen closet. Or, I don't know. But I love it how after he convinces her that she's got to fire her, and he says, "Look, I don't want to be a snitch or anything." She goes, "Oh no." He reaches up and just tentatively grabs her hand. I mean, through that whole scene, you're wondering what is going to happen here, and he shakes it, and I love her response. She's like, "Have you washed your hands?" And his reaction, he's thinking,
"Oh shit!"
Oh, okay. I cracked up in that moment. That was good. But that's
again, it's the humor. It's the humor that's dotted in there that makes what happens in the entire second half, especially like in the middle of the film, just so much more impactful.
Yeah.
Just courteous of time.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you want to mention before we move into the what about when?
Yeah, there's so many. Okay, I've got a couple of questions.
I know, me too.
Okay, the housekeeper. At the biggest turning point of the film, where she buzzes to come in. Okay. Two big questions. Why the hell is she laughing? And the other question, why is she beaten up? Why
I'd
is
say
her
the loan
face
sharks got her.
swollen?
Yeah, I'd say the loan sharks found her for the beating up.
Okay.
Or she's just been living on the street, and living on the street is
tough,
not easy
rough.
to do. Yeah, it's tough. Laughing, I think she's probably just looking at like her whole situation and how absurd it is that she's got to like kind of break into this house and get her husband out of the basement. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, hang on, she knows the family already. Remember, she's looked them up. Remember, she knows her name.
She knows the mum because she's still in contact with the boy.
Oh, okay.
But she doesn't know that she finds out that they're a family unit in the basement
when they
all fall down, and Kevin calls his dad.
Dad, I hurt my foot. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's recording it.
I think that was a little bit sloppy, to be honest, when he says, "Dad, you hurt my foot. Dad, you hurt my. Don't call me Dad." I'm like, oh, really?
See, I thought the exact same thing the first time I saw it, but then you've got to remember what they were doing immediately before they all fell down the stairs into the basement in that sloppy moment. Like they were all in the living room getting obliterated drunk. Like they're all wasted. So they don't have that cognitive ability. Like they've been snapped out of it a little bit with like by finding the basement, but they're all still massively intoxicated.
I wouldn't have been able to
do half the stuff. I forgive it for that reason.
I wouldn't have been able to make Randon if I just downed a half bottle of whiskey. That was a little bit nuts. I would have just taken it. Like they would have walked in. I was like, "Hey, I'm out of here. I'm fired. I'm out. Sorry." Like that was the last bit where I thought, "Oh, come on, they would be off their faces, and they don't move for hours on end." Okay, whatever.
You've never had a few too many drinks and then something's happened where you've snapped out of it?
I don't remember.
I certainly have been in situations like that before, so
fair enough.
I believe it. Fun fact about that whole moment when she rings the doorbell, I always thought that it happened like later in the film, like it kicked off like the traditional third act, but this movie doesn't adhere by any rules or standards of cinema whatsoever.
Yeah, it was like nearly smack bang in the middle.
I checked the time. When that doorbell rings, it's at 1 hour, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And the movie goes for 2 hours, 6 minutes and 50 seconds. So if you take away like the opening logos to the film, it literally happens at the exact center of the movie.
Okay.
That doorbell rings, which is just, I don't know how planned that was.
Yeah, of course it was
but
planned.
It's such a nice little thing to realize that the doorbell rings right smack bang in the middle of the movie.
Yeah, that would have been absolutely planned. Just like I'm sure in that scene where another piece of hatred towards the mother's character, where she's talking about how she'd be nice if she was rich as well. She's not nice and rich. She's nice because she's rich, where she talks about the madam. Yeah. And while she's having her little rant, one of the dogs comes in from the side of the scene, and she just pushes it away with disgust. And I'm like, there you go, I hate you. But I thought, well, how did that she must have ad-libbed that. But then I realised, nah. I watched it back, and the dog goes for some food that's obviously under the table. Yeah, he's been baited to go there. So they've written it in. I thought that was really...
It's incredible.
Really good. Okay, look, I've got a few questions, but I think we should move on, and maybe in the next bit I can throw some of these questions out at you.
Do I have anything else that I want to mention? No, we'll probably there's a bunch that we're going to get to in the what about when. So
okay, all right.
We'll be able to talk about specific moments during then. So should we move on to the next segment?
Is the next segment what about when?
Yeah.
All right. Then
So
let's
what about when? As Terence said at the beginning of this app, excuse me, it's all about when you leave a movie theater for the first time and you're still processing the film. All you can really talk about with your friends is, oh, what about when this? What about when that?
Sorry.
And so no, it's okay. You okay?
Water.
We hold the utmost professional standards here on the Movie Calendar podcast.
One take.
When we're going to keep all this in, it's going to be great. So yeah, that's the idea. I actually reached out to a few friends of mine who I know have seen the film. I actually organised a private screening for this after it won all of the Academy Awards.
A private screening in a public cinema. You've just hired out
in a cinema, yeah. So I had
just want to clarify
a bunch of people come along and fill up a cinema, and so I reached out to them. I just sent them a message. This being the first episode, I couldn't really reach out on Twitter and be like, hey, tell me your hashtag what about whens, because people would be like, what is that? But for future, if you want to contribute to this segment, if you reach out on Twitter, it's at the movie cal. Use the hashtag what about when for the film that we're going to be talking about next week, and I will be able to add it into the podcast. If you want to as well, you can also, if you want to record it so you have your voice play on the podcast, oh my god, wow, you can do that by sending an audio recording to our email, themoviecal@gmail.com. You'll be able to find links to all of these on our website as well, themoviecalendar.com. So what about when? You ready?
I've got heaps, but I think
All
we
right.
should listen to other people's.
Yeah, I want to do this. I think these are probably going to cover most of them. There was a lot of double ups and triple ups and quadruple ups as well. So I'll do the first one from Kelvin.
Yep.
I've got permission from all of these people to use these as well. So Kelvin says, what about when the old housekeeper gets kicked down the stairs and her head cracks into the wall?
Oh, yeah. That's a
Horrific.
juicy moment.
Absolutely horrific. So what this moment does so well, especially in a full cinema, because the movie has been so funny up until this point, like pretty much a comedy until that doorbell rings. People are still kind of in that comedy mode because this is happening just after the struggle. There's the what the hell is happening moment, while the two poor families are fighting each other. But then this kick down the stairs that the new housekeeper gives to the old housekeeper. She's tumbling down the stairs. There's laughter in the cinema with this, oh wow, it's great, and there's music in the background, like just a really nice score, and then it's just crack. Her skull smashes against the concrete wall, and all the sound drowns out of the film, and the entire audience goes either gasps or goes silent. It's such a useful sound in the film of just it crunch. It's awful. So what a brilliant what about when.
They deaden that sound. They use it in a couple of films, and it just goes boom. It floored me as well. Yes, that's a good what about when. Yes.
Yeah, I can still hear it. So we've got one from Reese. So here's what about when's. He's got two. He's cheated, and I'll allow two for the first episode. Just the rain, having just the entire rain sequence from beginning to end, and the unveiling of the basement itself.
Oh, when she's running down there, honey.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a horrific scene, terrifying. You don't know, the whole color changes as well. They grade it.
You have no idea what's happening.
Ghastly green. You're just like, this is bad. This is bad. This is not a bad movie. What's happening?
And the movie doesn't let you sit in it at all. Like the second that door opens, the character that we're following which is the new housekeeper, the poor mum, is straight down the stairs with the camera just running behind her. Like there is no time to question what's happening or try and figure out what's going on. You are right down those stairs, and the music, the strings pick up, and it's just the tension builds, and you're like, I'm not ready to go down these stairs yet. Yeah, it's absolutely terrifying.
Especially when just before that, it's a really comical moment where she's trying to push the buffet unit away by bridging herself to the wall. I remember doing that as a kid.
Yeah.
I had flashbacks of nostalgia. I'm like, oh, I used to do that. Down.
There's
boom.
also a fart joke in there as well. When she's pressed up against the wall trying to push it, she farts. Which I'm like, so yeah, we have the Academy Award-winning Parasite has a fart joke in it, which is lovely. We've got another what about when from Dan. What about when the sister forges the document?
Yeah.
To him, that's just one of the funniest moments. And then when the father's holding it up, being like, wow, does Oxford have a major in forgery? Because your sister would be at the top of her class.
Oh my God, that's the second... no, that's the first time it's referenced that her skill is amazing. Because remember the time when she answers the phone as I hope this isn't another what about when, as the owner of the classy service? And she goes on the phone and she walks past the mother on the table and she goes, wow, she could be a real con artist.
Yeah, she's got such a good voice for it. She gets that from me, the father says. No, she doesn't. The father is like the least savvy out of all of them when it comes to conning. Like he's like the moment I'm going to do a what about when, this one's not on the page, but when they're practicing the TB speech.
Yeah.
During that montage, and the dad's getting really big and bombastic, and the son has to like tap him and go, no, Dad, you're up here. Just bring it down. And so he brings it down a little bit.
He's totally left out. He's out of the loop with all of this, isn't he? It's not his
he has
forte.
no idea.
Yeah.
Cool. So we've got a what about when from Jason, and his what about when is the entire montage that gets rid of the old housekeeper or the TB scene.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah, so from inception to getting rid of her, where they're like she's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like when the family's not there, she sleeps and she eats too much food, and then that whole few minutes of getting from that moment to her leaving the house, is hilarious.
That's paced really, really well. The
it's
music
so
is beautiful. They shoot it nicely. They use the chili sauce at the beginning, the chili sauce at the end. I think it's very efficient. I like the storytelling of that, and I didn't mind that I didn't know how long a time period this was spread over, because it was paced pretty well. It didn't matter. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, excellent, brilliant editing.
Yeah.
Alyssa has just what about when he's writing and reading the letter at the end to his father. And you find out that that what you see when he's writing this letter doesn't actually happen.
Yeah.
Because it's such a weird moment, right? Where you think, oh, so wow, they're just going to tell us what happens to him since he's been down there, but no, it's all just a fantasy.
I do like that they leave it like that. I do like it.
Yeah, me too.
You know, it's more common these days that films will leave you in the lurch, but you don't know how this is going to end up. But there's every chance it could. This leads me into a bit of a weird question. I'll do it after these what about whens, but in relation to how it ends, that's a good one. I love that he dedicated so much time and he's writing this letter back. How's he going to get the letter to the dad?
No, exactly. Like, what is his plan?
Yeah.
What is his plan to get the... Wow, oh my God.
Well, he has one.
To get this letter down to his father. Yeah, no, for me, I think... and this is a bit grim, but so is the film in a lot of ways. I think he dies down there. There's no way he gets out. There is not a chance in the world that Kevin is capable enough to earn enough money to buy that house to get him out. There's just... When Jessica... was killed, that was their last hope. She was absolutely the smartest and the most capable out of that family unit, and when she died, that sealed their fate from ever achieving anything.
Maybe
that's what I think anyway. All right, last what about when we alluded to this one earlier, and I've wanted to save it till last. This one is from Alyssa, Darcy, Jason, Dan, and pretty much anyone who has seen the film, and it is when the eyes appear at the top of the stairs when we see the ghost in the house for the first time, and Da Song's first fit.
Yeah.
What imagery!
Oh, that was so creepy.
It's incredible. That shot is just...
You know,
it stays with you.
With 2 kids and a son around that age, and I just think how, and maybe this is why I feel pity for the mother. I just think I couldn't imagine what it would be like for my boy to see that image. It would drive him insane. He would be on another level of insanity that I just have no idea. And I think it's some episode, or it's a chemical imbalance or something. Oh, that was why I feel so sorry for this little boy. Oh,
Yeah,
crazy.
That moment, and you hear the rain, and then it cutting to the mum who's imitating the son, screaming, and and to happen on his birthday.
Oh, they cut that scene really well. Also, as she tells the story, and then she leans over, and the cake is there.
And the cake is lit on the floor.
They directed that
so clever,
beautifully. And then the cake is the same cake that they use in the garden party at the end.
Yeah,
they call it something. She calls it his something cake.
Rehabilitation cake. Trauma cake? Rehabilitation. I don't know.
I'm like, oh, what the. I don't know. And they try to reenact. It's almost like she's got guidance from a therapist to try to reenact a scenario where he is saved from something horrible happening to help him get over this thing.
Trauma recovery cake, I think, is what she calls it.
And it puts him into the
eyes on the stairs.
It puts him into a fit. He ends up having a seizure, which happens. Wow.
Yeah, I think Da Song, and I've spoken to a friend of mine who's a medical professional, and she says that Da Song probably has some kind of something in his brain where, how he has those moments where he's like staring at the sky, and like he's having like mini seizures where his brain just kind of shuts off, possibly. And the family thinks that it's this inspiration brilliance. Which wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
He could have a mental disorder, and he goes around as a Native American Indian. I think it's a form of protection. He feels strong. He needs to be able to fight this demon.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any whataboutwhens that we didn't mention here?
Yes.
Okay.
My first one is the basement husband reveal in the dark, what we just spoke about.
Mine too.
What about when they go back into their sub basement and Jessica runs into the bathroom and the toilet is spewing, it's regurgitating.
Yes.
And she just like goes up to it and
she doesn't care,
grabs her, smokes and sits on. I think that's hilarious, and they parallel it with the old housekeeper vomiting into the toilet as well. They cut back and forth there. I love that. I've never seen imagery like that except in
incredible
Ghoulies or Gremlins. I don't know, one of those 80s bad horror films.
Just all the fecal matter like trying to explode out of the toilet while she sits on it and has a cigarette is so great.
Okay, here this is a what about when that's bigger than any other what about when. Sorry everyone who contributed there. What about when basement husband comes chasing after Kevin with the Scholar's Rock, and he comes up to the top, and Kevin coat hangers himself, and he lifts it, and he actually drops it on his back.
So you don't see it. You don't see the first one. You just hear the crunch of the rock hitting his head, and you're like, oh my god, that's horrific. Then you see the blood, and then he just picks up the stone again in a nice wide shot. Smack.
That what about when
Kevin twitches.
That what about when got me. What about when he runs out into the garden party with the knife? Bloody face.
There's so much humor in leading up to that as well. Like when he's walking through the kitchen, and he grabs a knife out of the knife block and walks out. So he hasn't been outside in the sun for God knows how long.
4 years,
probably months, maybe even years.
Days.
Well, he has been out. Because when the family's away, the parasites come up and sort of
the cockroaches,
rule the house and listen. Yeah, exactly.
Well, they say it.
But who knows how long he's been down there for? But he comes out into the garden party and everyone's having a good time, and he's like adjusting his eyes. They're just sort of looking around, having a good gander at the party until he sees his target, and then just
and it's right at the moment
straight into the chest
where they're going to fake an attack anyway.
Yep.
So and this poor boy sees his nightmares come to life, literally.
Looks at him,
and then his dad dies.
What happens at the end of this film? It's just it turns so violent.
What about when Jessica gets stabbed?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. What about when Mr. Park rolls basement husband over, holds his nose because of the smell, and that's all the motivation Mr. Kim
breaks
needs
him
to go and do it. Yeah. What a ride. After that halfway point, I stopped seeing anything as being funny. I was like edge of my seat. That was thriller territory for me. I didn't see any humor in anything. I just saw sadness, and I thought, I'm watching a different film now. When Kevin's upstairs with the daughter of the rich family, and he says, would I fit in here? I hate his...
Do I belong here?
His narcissistic personality, where he doesn't even... he still thinks he can make a life there. They're talking about him marrying this girl. What are they going to do with the family? He's ready to just ignore the family, and the family are all along with it. Yeah, you could just hire another family. That'd be hilarious.
Hire people to be your parents.
Yeah, we'll just be continuing to work here. There are so many things in this that are so wrong, but the fact that we're so invested, just the way we're talking about it now, I think it was done so right. It was done so well. Look, there are a couple of other things, but look, I think it was
look, we could easily go for a couple more hours on this, but we won't. Going. We'll hold back. I think we're doing rather well for time, actually.
Yeah. Look, I've said what I wanted to say. I've said what I wanted to say about the rich family and how I feel for them. You touched on...
I just know that the second that we stop recording...
we're going to start.
Oh, no. I didn't mention this. Damn it. That's all right. We might revisit it at some point.
Yeah.
Who knows? If I think of some more things, I'll reach out on Twitter and be like, I can't believe I forgot to mention this or that.
Yeah, right. I'll just text you. I had a couple of questions.
Okay.
Let's... we don't have to dive in. Why does the mother start examining the underwear that Mr. Park finds in the car? She doesn't chuck it. She starts to look through it. She lays it out on the table with gloves. She's inspecting it. Okay, that was weird. Why'd she do that? She's a bit crazy. Drugs? I don't know. That was one question. Why is the housekeeper laughing?
I can answer that one very quickly. I don't know. I have no idea. Just a quirky character trait for that person.
People do it. Okay, why are the stairwell lights that we realise basement husband is activating these lights?
One of my favourite things.
Why on earth was it designed so that they are activated with a single switch that drops directly below into this secret basement?
You'd have to ask the genius. You'd have to ask the genius architect that designed the house. I have no idea. Maybe in between the architect moving out and the Park family moving in, he did some kind of rewiring. Who knows? Just to give him something to do. He seemed pretty savvy. Like he might have had some kind of electrical engineering background. I have no idea, but I love that mechanism. And how did you go watching it the second time around when we first meet Mr. Park and he comes up the stairs and the lights go flick, flick, flick?
Look, to be honest, I noticed it the first time, but the first time watching it through, I never actually connected it. Even when it was a reveal that that's what he was doing, I didn't think, I saw that before. I saw it afterwards. But the second time, yes, I picked up on a couple more times when it happens. That confused me, but it, the blood on his forehead from doing it, that's just
the Morse code.
And the first picture we see of Da Song, the one that's framed on the wall, this character who we know is the basement husband has blood on his forehead. But the vision we see of him, he wasn't bloodied on his forehead. So I don't know what's going on. I want to know how many times Da Song has actually recorded Morse code and seen these lights. Was it in the tent that it was the first time that he saw Morse code going on? Because he was recording it.
I can answer that one.
Yeah.
He is just learning it, so it's something that he's just started learning.
In Scouts.
In Scouts, so you can actually see when he is writing out. I think he's trying to write help. But he got it wrong. He gets one of the letters wrong.
Yeah.
So he's not quite proficient in it yet, but he's getting there.
Yeah. I thought that was smart. I mean, that was also foreshadowing how Kevin would actually discover that his father was in the basement. So at least we know that mechanism existed. I think there's only one more. Oh yeah. Why on earth would you hold a garden party in a garden that has a flat lawn the morning after it's had torrential rain falling on it for hours? You know that you don't walk on that lawn. You know that it's going to be a mudslide. It's going to be a mess. You don't do that.
It's a good question. I don't know. They've probably got some kind of. Remember this house and the yard included has been designed by this genius architect. It's probably got some kind of irrigation system.
Great drainage.
Who knows? And the sun came out, and there was a garden party that ended up happening in the afternoon, because they all slept in and had to run chores and errands, and it was an afternoon party. So it probably dried. The sun was out very early in the morning, so. Who knows?
It doesn't happen like that. You've never lived in a house with lawn, have you? Obviously not. All right. There was. Damn it! There was one other thing I wanted to bring in. I forgot it. I don't know. It's not worth it if I don't remember it. It's not worth it. Look. What a ride.
Yeah, amazing.
What a ride.
What a film. Again, like I mentioned earlier on, for me, and I hope the enthusiasm came across. Like I truly think this film is perfect. I don't think that there is an area in which it falls flat or fails or even just wavers at all. I love it. It's why I wanted to make it the first film. It was a bit risky to choose. There was a bit of discussion around, should we make this the first film, and maybe do it in like a few episodes time to once we've kind of figured out a groove. But yeah, ultimately we came to the conclusion that no, respect it and make it first.
Yeah. Yep.
And if we don't end up liking this episode about Parasite, we'll do another one. It'll be okay.
Yep. Look, I reckon we've talked this quite a lot. We could keep talking. We'll talk in circles. We'll make it cyclical, but no one wants to hear that again. Are you happy if we move on? Let's get to
let's go to the next section.
This. All right. Let's get to the movie calendar.
It's the movie calendar time.
It's movie calendar.
The whole reason why we're here. Now so Terence and I are going to pitch each other essentially as to what date we think that this film should fall. The dates are based on a combination of, like, for me, I think what would be the best day to watch this movie and why in the year. And so if you want to contribute to this section for next week or for any episodes after this one, the best way to do it is to send us an email. Terence will put the email somewhere here. It's the moviecal@gmail.com with a little story as to why you think a certain film should be on a certain date, and then we might be able to put it on there. The calendar will appear on the website as well, themoviecalendar.com. So you can just click on the date that the movie's on, and you'll be able to see who recommended it to go there and the reason why. It's going to be super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I've got a date in mind for this one. Did you want to tell me yours?
Yes, I have a date in mind. I was trying to think of ways that this could relate to me personally, a way that it would be a really monumental day in the year, maybe something in society, and maybe there is something great. I couldn't think of it, and I just thought, you know what, this was Academy Award winning. It was breaking all the norms in film. There's a very different film, very different genre, and first foreign film to win an Academy Award, right? So
to win the best picture,
not the Academy Award, the best picture. I thought, wouldn't it be fitting to, looking at IMDb's website here, to put it on the day it was released, the 30th of May. That was its release date, and pay homage to Bong Joon Ho and the film itself.
Yeah,
it might be a cheap cop out, but I think that's a nice day for it. But now,
no, that makes total sense.
Let's hear.
That would have been the date that it premiered. That would have been the Cannes Film Festival. Yeah. I'd imagine
where it won its first.
Was where it first was shown to an audience and blew their minds.
Yeah.
And appropriately so.
All right.
So yeah, my date is in a similar vein.
Yeah.
I've chosen the 10th of February. or the 9th of February, but I'll get to that in just a moment. So on the 10th of February in Australia, 2020 was when this film changed the world by becoming the first foreign movie to win Best Picture at the Academy Awards. And so that's why I've chosen that date, because it was an absolutely groundbreaking thing to happen. I was championing it for it to happen. And yeah, the fact that it was able to do that has just now paved the way for other filmmakers to have motivation that they can do it too. Like it literally changed the world that day. For the better. Like the world became a better place for cinema on that day. So that's why I've chosen. Now the 9th of February was when Sunday the 9th, 2020 was when it happened in the US. But I wanted to put it on the 10th because that's when it happened in Australia.
Oh, I'm torn with that.
Which holds more significance to me, and it's my calendar.
It's an anniversary. It's an
Australian calendar
of something that was personal to you.
Yeah.
Oh, are you taking away the relevance of its impact on society by making it a day that was after the day it happened?
No, it is the day that it happened where I live.
All right. Okay. Oh, this is going to be tough. Well, you know what? Day of release. How should we do this? Should we flip a coin?
No. I'm not leaving it up to that. No way.
You know what, Lee? I will happily concede my date because I think the reason is great. I got to tell you, I'm not sold on the date, but I will let you have it. I'll let you have it because I know what this film means to you. This is your favorite film of all time. This is huge enough to be your day, and I think it's a great date. What is the date again?
Thank you. So it's going to be the 10th of February.
10th of February.
Parasite. Lock it in.
Lock it in. Locked in.
Oh my God. We have our first movie on the calendar. This is so exciting.
I want to do a Kermit yay.
I can't. Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that.
I can't believe it. Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. So yeah, that's amazing. So now on the 10th of February, from here for the rest of time, however long you're watching movies,
eternity,
you can wake up in the morning and say, what movie should I watch today? And you'll be able to watch Parasite.
Yeah. Get
that's
the
going to
kids
be really
around.
Cool.
Bring in your mum.
Don't watch this one with the kids.
Who would you recommend see this?
Bad, Terence.
Who would you recommend see this?
Who?
Yeah.
Anybody who has eyes and ears that work, and those who don't. Actually, they don't need to work. Actually, I want to correct myself very quickly because people are going to tweet at me because there's film nerds that are probably going to watch this.
Okay.
I said that the film ends at 2 hours, 6 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yes.
That's not to the end of the credits. That's when the film goes black and the credits begin. I know that they've probably already tweeted at me and now I've said this and now they look like the fool, so sucked in.
Fool on you. This film has the smallest font for credits that I've ever seen in
it's pretty small.
My life, and the most icons of logos right at the end of the credits as well that I've seen.
Yeah.
But they had to get through a lot of names and they only had 1.5 songs to do it in. It was pretty good. I like the music too.
Oh, the score is incredible. No, we can't talk about it. It's all done.
No, we mentioned it though. Hey, have you ever had a rain run? They're running from a horrible thing in the pouring rain. Have you ever done that in your life?
Oh yes, nothing to the extent that they went through.
Oh yeah, I never
but yeah, I've had to run in the rain. Yeah. Okay. Well, so let's talk about rather mention what we're going to be talking about next week.
All right.
Very exciting. So we're going to stick within the same vein of Parasite. So this film is going to be quite similar. So I'm really bad at sarcasm. But next week, we're going to be talking about Pixar's Inside Out, which I'm very, very excited to talk about and place onto our calendar. I have no idea what date it's going to be yet. So if you have a date in mind, please reach out to us. Let us know. The email is themoviecal@gmail.com or Twitter @themoviecal. and let us know what date Inside Out should appear on the calendar and why. Best story, we'll be able to go in there.
And if you haven't watched it recently, watch it again and send us in your what about whens. Hashtag what about when.
It's on Disney Plus.
Email it. Yeah, you've got a number of ways that you can watch it.
Use Twitter for your what about whens is going to be the best way to get them to me. So that's at the movie Cal. Use the hashtag whataboutwhen so I can find it. If you just want to talk about movies with me on Twitter at the movie Cal, I'm happy to have a chat to you there. But yeah, next week is Inside Out.
Change of pace. I guess it's the Parasite of Pixar, right? No, I shouldn't.
I can't wait to hear you justify that next week. You've said it now. You put your foot in it. You're going to have to find parallels now, and I can't wait to hold you to that.
Sure.
I have to just write that down.
I got it here. Seen it. I know.
Good. I'm sure you're ready. Cool. So that's it for the first episode. Thank you so much, Terence, for doing this with me. I've wanted to do something like this for a long time, and you've really enabled it for me and held me accountable to it, which has been the one thing that's kind of held me back.
Beautiful. Well, don't make me regret it. Keep me accountable too. I
hope I won't.
Well, I don't know. He's got a thin line with this episode, but yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. It's been really cool. I hope everyone has enjoyed watching and listening. We're going to try and do podcast and YouTube uploads and things, and try and keep it as a weekly thing if we can, or as best we can.
You can find this on through the podcast app or through iTunes, or there will be a video format. If you are listening to this just with your headphones on, there is a video on YouTube. You'll be able to find us on YouTube, the movie calendar. Just search for that and you'll be able to find it. The
movie calendar or the movie calendar? I don't know. You'll find it.
The podcast will be released first, and then a few days later, after it's been edited, it will go up on the YouTubes.
That's the goal. We're going to try and do no editing, right? One take. Flaws and all.
That's the idea. With all of the coughing and spluttering from putting water down the wrong hole,
I'll edit that out.
Included.
I'll put some character.
No, if he tries to edit it out, Terence had a massive coughing fit with water in his throat. All right, we should wrap it up. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you to Terence. Thanks for listening. Please let us know where you want Inside Out to be on the movie calendar.
Thanks,
and we'll see you soon.
See you later.
All right. Bye.